Here with this week's hottest stories in the investment world, this is Zacks Friday Finish Line.
Hello, and welcome to a Zacks Investment Research exclusive brought to you by the Zacks Friday Finish Line team. I'm Maddy Johnson, an editor here at Zacks, alongside content writer Ryan McQueeney.
Hello.
And today we are joined by Andrew Chanin, the CEO of PureFunds. Andrew, thanks for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
PureFunds is a New York City-based research firm that serves as the sponsor of 8 different thematic ETFs, including funds that focus on big data, cybersecurity, and health and medical technology.
So today we're going to be talking about a few of these PureFunds ETFs in order to better understand the emerging tech markets that they focus on and what investment opportunities our listeners might have in these fields. So Andrew, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your role in the company?
Sure. So my background, ever since graduating college, was working in the ETF industry, and I started off as a lead market maker, trading ETFs. I was a global international equity lead market maker at a company called Kellogg Group, which at the time was the largest ETF specialist trading firm, also on the floor of the American Stock Exchange. So it was a really incredible time to get to see the innovation of the ETF market, and I started there in 2007. So just thinking about kind of where we were then and how far we've come, and the innovation and development that we've seen in this industry, it was a really fortuitous time to get involved. And it was during those times where I was actually giving ETF ideas to issuers and giving them advice on ways to structure their funds that might make them more appealing to investors or market makers. And it was there that eventually they said, why do you keep on giving us your ideas? You should try launching your own. And with that idea in mind, PureFunds was born. And where I believed that I could create a competitive company would be to develop products that weren't yet out in the market, funds that covered truly different exposures than what was already available, and funds that targeted innovative areas where we're seeing disruption, new technologies, and new trends, thinking that this is something that hopefully is a longer-term picture that investors are looking to get exposure to for all different types of purposes.
All right, awesome. So I want to start by looking at the PureFunds Video Game Technology ETF, which trades under the ticker GAMR, or Gamer. So video games have been a staple of consumer entertainment since their earliest days, basically around the world. But with the advent of virtual reality, cloud and streaming content, mobile gaming, professional gaming, it feels like we're on the cusp of a new era in video gaming. So as we look at the investment opportunities in this industry, should we expect traditional gaming powerhouses to adapt and remain on top, or do you think new players will emerge?
I think one of the great things about this industry is that it is fairly in open infrastructure. There's room for many different types of companies. You've got the console makers, you've got the game and software developers, you have the chip manufacturers, you have the companies that are working on the peripheral devices and attachments that you'd plug into your console. You've got the mobile gaming companies, the retailers and distribution companies. So it really is a very kind of wide-ranging industry. And like you said, it really started as being developed for entertainment purposes. And I think kind of what we're on the cusp of right now, and we've already started to see it start to take place, is that video games, and why we call the fund a video game technology fund as opposed to just a video game fund, is that the technologies being developed in the video game industry are now transcending entertainment. And we're seeing use cases of video game technology in different fields like healthcare, education, simulation, training. And the more that these various technologies develop, the more potential use cases that we could see video games in more and more places. And I think, like you said, esports and the mobile gaming and digital distribution, augmented reality, virtual reality, we're starting to see these pick up in popularity. Some may have started off slower, and maybe some people were expecting things to ramp up a lot faster. But things like virtual reality takes a lot of time building out the right technology before the software companies say, okay, I believe that is a technology that's going to last, and I'm going to start developing the software to actually create new applications for this technology. So it's a lot of different companies working in different areas, and I wouldn't say that it's just the large companies that are going to win everything over. I think this is an industry where you certainly do have loyal fans to different game franchises and consoles, but when there is a great new technology out there, I think you see a lot of excitement and people willing to adapt and try it out.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So kind of going off of that, who do you think's going to benefit more in the gaming industry, semiconductor manufacturers or chip makers that power this growing technology, or game designers and publishers that market it to the gamer?
Yeah, I think there's room for each of these types of companies. It's extremely difficult to pick winners, and that's actually exactly why we develop funds that cover these constantly innovative and changing industries, because it's so difficult to pick who is going to be the winner down the road or in the short term even, that being able to have a diversified exposure to many companies from around the globe that are specializing in the different areas that do make up these industries to us made sense. And we do have multiple chip companies in the fund. There are the distribution companies as well. And many of them have different approaches on how they do things. Some chips might work better with virtual reality, and some might be better on your smartphone or on a gaming console. So the approach for the underlying index for the video game tech ETF was to try to capture the many different companies that are in the industry that are doing various things. And I think we'll see many new companies enter the space, and some might also not succeed. So I think it's almost a dangerous proposition trying to say I think this company is going to be doing the best. But certainly as the different technologies expand, I think there will be more use cases and need for different types of chips that can process whatever is needed and required for those new technologies.
Yeah. So as interesting as that all that new technology is, I want to ask quickly about some of the more traditional outlets, being consoles and personal computers. The PlayStation 4 and Xbox One are several years old at this point, but they both just recently debuted new, slimmer models. However, PC gaming, especially on the competitive level and with that esports market that we mentioned earlier, appears to be at the peak of its popularity. How do you view the current state of the console versus PC war?
Yeah, it's really interesting. I think most people started off probably getting involved, that are my age and older on the console side, and as every household started getting a desktop and then laptops, I think more and more people started playing. I think it's incredible seeing the amounts of money that competitive gamers spend on the PC side. And I think it's the actual other technologies that are actually allowing these trends that you're seeing in PC and console gaming. So it's broadband, the proliferation of broadband access. Even on the mobile side, I think that's a legitimate competitor too, because anyone that has a smartphone essentially now has a gaming platform. So we're seeing the demographics change as well as the modes that people are accessing games and actually playing games. So with the proliferation of smartphones and the higher quality resolutions that we're seeing from monitors, it's something that the more people that have computers, the more people that have smartphones, are the more potential gamers that you have out there. So it's interesting seeing the demographics change while the ease and access to games have also changed. So we're seeing the demographics now shifting older and closer to gender neutral as well. So it's something that we're seeing more and more people identify as gamers, and I think you do have the hardcore PC gamers and the people that just want to play on their one specific console. And if they're an Xbox person, maybe they don't want to play PlayStation or vice versa. So I think you find a lot of loyalties on the console side that might make it difficult for someone to convert someone to a different type of console. But on the gaming, a lot of the games can be played against someone using a different type of PC, but you're still playing the same game. So I think it allows for a little bit more kind of integration and people being able to play each other that are on the PC side, but at the same time, you have a lot of loyalists on the console side that might be curious to always see what the next version and iteration of that console becoming.
Yeah. Well, whenever I am on my morning or afternoon commute, almost everyone that I see on the bus or the train is on their smartphone playing a game, whether it's Candy Crush, Legends of Zelda, or any other like really popular app store game of the moment.
Pokemon Go, obviously.
Obviously, Pokemon Go. Coming soon, Harry Potter Go. Very excited about that.
Yeah, and I think it's important that you brought up kind of augmented reality right there with Pokemon Go, and it was something that everyone was talking about, virtual reality and augmented reality, and it was great to see this use case that took off in popularity, where people are realizing a video game isn't what I thought it used to be. I used to be playing Pokemon on my Game Boy, but now I'm outside in the real world, walking around. Getting actual activity outside and interacting with people while playing an augmented reality game. I think people really started to understand, okay, this is what, just an early stage augmented reality type of technology can allow. And I think that's what's really exciting because we saw such a success and the amount of people take interest in this that it wouldn't be surprising to see more software companies come out and develop new ways of implementing augmented reality to create more buzz for their older franchise of games that they want to reboot, or even brand new ideas that augmented reality allows you to now go out and include.
Well, yeah, and I'm happy we mentioned Pokemon Go specifically too, because it seems like we've been talking about it a lot over the past few months, really since it debuted. And you're right, it absolutely exploded in popularity. And from our market perspective, Nintendo stock was soaring after the launch of game, and we were getting those numbers about just the insane amount of people that had downloaded and the insane amount of steps people were taking and all that cool data. And then shares kind of came back down a little bit once people realized it's really Niantic's thing that they're getting the revenue from, not Nintendo's. But I think it really showed us that, especially for a very long time, Nintendo was openly hesitant to get into smartphone gaming because they had their own mobile gaming consoles competing against what they saw as competing against these apps. So do you think that traditional publishers like Nintendo are going to be expanding their focus on smartphone gaming, or will that part of the market continue to be led by mobile-first developers like Zynga, or these people who play these more traditional or make these more traditional mobile games like Candy Crush or some of the other ones we see on commercials on TV about?
Yeah, that could lead to potential mergers and acquisitions. We saw Activision Blizzard had acquired King Digital, as a way to get more exposure to the mobile gaming side. We've seen Tencent, which is another company in the fund that has been making a lot of acquisitions to continuously expand their mobile reach. I think it allows several options, and I think companies would be wise to explore the different options that they have out there. But they could certainly develop their own kind of R&D into mobile gaming, or like what we saw with Nintendo, where they went the route of partnership and allowing someone else that had a stronger expertise in that field to go out and develop what they wanted to see. So I think it allows for multiple options, and I don't think that there's necessarily one way that's right about doing it. But a company that is as large as Nintendo, I think that they've realized that they were a console company, and they've also developed games and software. Now they've seen some success in partnerships on the mobile side. It wouldn't be far fetched to imagine that some of these companies that maybe just tried to outsource or partner might be looking at adding that, seeing that mobile gaming is a serious trend and one that can allow them to expand their brand into some of these different demographic changes like we mentioned before.
Okay, so kind of switching gears from mobile gaming and augmented reality. Last week we saw the big reveal of Google's new Daydream View virtual reality headset, which I think is really cool. So now with this kind of addition to the VR tool, like consumer tools, it looks like there are now some more powerful and affordable VR devices out there for consumers. Do you think, in your opinion, that VR is going to stick around and be a major driver of video games? Or is this just a fad that will fade out into non-existence?
I think virtual reality is a major important trend within video game technology. This was something, technology that had been dreamed up decades ago, and people have been working on the technology for years and years. But just because you have the idea for the technology doesn't mean that you can actually make it a practical technology instantly. And significant R&D has been poured into it from companies from around the world of all different sizes because they believe in the potential that virtual reality can allow. Now, the problem with it is that they were still working on the virtual reality technology, and few believe that they've perfected it, whether it's nausea and motion sickness or the actual restrictions that you might have of bringing it into every household in America, whether it's from costs or whether not having enough space to allow you to kind of interact with this virtual reality around you, or not having all the other peripheral equipment that you would need to really make it a completely immersive technology. And I think some people may have got burned earlier on, thinking that when the hype was extremely high years ago, that this was something that because everyone wants it, it's going to be ready tomorrow. But now, what happens with a technology like this is you have the technology, the virtual reality, the headset, and the peripheral devices. But another component that you need is the software. You need companies, innovators out there to say, okay, I get this technology, I see how it works. I think people are going to buy it. It's affordable enough to reach wide masses, and now I feel comfortable enough spending our time and money to develop the software, the games, the applications for this technology. And so, what you really need is this entire ecosystem of players to come together and to start committing towards various technologies. It might not just be one winner with Google or Samsung or any of these other Microsoft or anyone else that's coming out with VR. But once you have companies agreeing that they want to start developing the software for this, well, all of a sudden you could start seeing the gaming software. You could start seeing the educational software, the training, the simulation, and I think that's when you really start to see virtual reality to come into its own. So I still think we're on the earlier stages, but I think the different technologies that we've seen recently are a lot closer to being ready for software companies to themselves make that plunge into developing software for these for virtual reality.
All right, thank you so much, Andrew. That just about does it for our questions on PureFunds' video game technology ETF, which trades under the ticker GAMR. Make sure to stay tuned for part 2 of our interview with Andrew, where we'll be checking out PureFunds' iPay ETF, which takes a look at mobile and electronic payments.